When it comes to the war on illegal migration, the Prime Minister says the Bahamas is not winning, but is coping. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson.
I'm Kish Latterly. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Topping the news, according to statistics, the Bahamas isn't only challenged with illegal migration from Haitian nationals fleeing that troubled and impoverished country. We're also threatened by Cuban migrants who come to the Bahamas as they seek to enter the United States.
It's an ongoing problem, and tonight Clint Watson talks to the nation's chief about the immigration issues.
At a time when the Bahamas still fights to control illegal migration, mostly from Haitians, there is now an increase in irregular Cuban migration. Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie, just back from delivering a statement to the United Nations on this vexing issue, was greeted with more intelligence that the problem continues to mushroom.
In recent times, some 60 plus of them have come in. And the advice that we are receiving is that there's a concern in Cuba that the policy may change, and so everyone is trying to get in. And policy is in the United States of America. Just yesterday, I'm told we had 117 intercepted just north of Inagua. Prior to that, we had a vessel come into Abaco. We thought we had the people, but there's a suggestion after we went into the community to look that more may have come in.
The Prime Minister says the UN's Conference on Migration and Refugees is very timely and important to the Bahamas. He says while the world in recent times has been focusing on the refugee crisis in Europe caused by Syrian refugees, our region has been struggling for some time.
Has been happening for a very, very long time in the Bahamas, where migrants risk their lives in trying to get into the Bahamas en route to the United States of America if they could carry their intention. And the Bahamas has been carrying the brunt for a very long time. So it was important just to remind members, and I asked for the United Nations to bring focus on small island states like the Bahamas and the burden that we're carrying. And so as one of the outcomes is a shared responsibility. And speaker after speaker spoke about attacking the problem at the roots, including when I spoke, being able to deal substantively with the issue why people leave their countries to come to transit countries like the Bahamas and even destination countries like the Bahamas.
Mr. Christie says this is an ever-continuing battle for the Bahamas, and his administration has decided that discussions must continue with both the Haitian and Cuban governments.
The idea is, on a bilateral basis, to try and get the full cooperation of each government towards either being able to repatriate people more efficiently and effectively and more quickly, and ultimately for them to have the resources in their own countries to prevent people from coming to our country.
The fight to combat illegal migration is also costly for the country, so the Bahamas welcomes assistance from the international community.
There ought to be a globally shared approach to it, and that in that sense, there'll be a greater appreciation of what countries like the Bahamas have to undergo with much smaller budgets than our North American or Canadian and further counterparts in Europe, that we have a very heavy burden as a small island developing state. And there'll be an appreciation that even if that they do not have resources readily to assist the Bahamas, they will be able to dedicate resources at the sort of where they come from, the point of origin, those countries, to be able to do whatever is necessary to minimize the extent to which people come in.
The Prime Minister also pointing out that because of expanded resources for the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, they've had much success recently in interdicting illegal migrants. Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.